Everyone in Ur worshipped 1,000 gods. Abram heard a different voice, one command: leave everything. He told Sarai what God promised him. She didn't question. She believed. God didn't ask for some things. God asked for everything. No map, no plan, just a promise. I will make you a great nation. Your descendants will be like stars. You won't even count them. He left his father's house, his homeland, his name as he knew it. Everyone he knew thought he was insane. Sarai had a choice: stay or follow. She followed. Lot came too, his whole family, all in. Look up, count those stars. That's your descendants, Abram. He couldn't count them. No one could. Miles became months. Months became years. But the voice never left him. A land flowing with milk and honey. Not a metaphor. A home. He gave up everything he could touch and received everything he couldn't. He heard one voice when the world heard 1,000, and it changed history forever.
That's how he became the father of the faith.
God made a promise: I will give this land to your children. Abram believed it. He walked into Canaan with nothing but faith. Then the famine came. The land that was supposed to be theirs couldn't feed them. Egypt had water. Egypt had grain. So they went south, toward survival. Sarai was beautiful, dangerously beautiful. The moment they entered Egypt, Abram's fear took over. Tell them you're my sister, not my wife. If they know, they'll kill me to have you. She walked into the palace as a sister. The Pharaoh saw her and wanted her as his own. But God was watching. Plague struck him. Sickness struck his household. Not by accident, by divine punishment. He understood. This wasn't coincidence. This was God saying, this woman is not yours. Why did you lie to me? She's your wife, not your sister. Abram didn't argue. He was afraid. Afraid I would die if you knew the truth. The Pharaoh released her. She was returned untouched. And the Pharaoh didn't just let them go. He gave them gold, silver, livestock, wealth beyond measure. They left Egypt richer than when they came, protected, blessed. Abram's fear had led him to lie, but God didn't punish him for it. God protected him anyway. Sometimes we end up in our own Egypt, a place we didn't plan to be. Maybe you made a wrong choice. Maybe you lied. Maybe you're afraid. But here's what Abram learned. God's blessing doesn't depend on your perfection. It depends on His promise. The bad that happened to you? Sometimes that's exactly what pushes you toward the good. Not all bad is bad. Some of it is redirection. Your Egypt might be exactly where God needs you right now. They had everything. Herds so massive the land was breaking under the weight of their wealth. Abram looks at his nephew. The question hangs in the air. How do you split paradise? The choice was simple. Lot sees the fertile land, the promised land. Abram sees something else. Lot takes the best, the greenest, the richest valley anyone's ever seen. But Abram lets go. He takes the rocky Negev, the wasteland nobody wants. Abram moves to Mamre, to Hebron, to the oaks where God is waiting. And in that moment, God speaks. Look up, Abraham. Count the stars. Can you count them? Count the grains of sand on the earth. Can you count those? This is how many descendants you'll have, God says. More than the stars, more than sand. Abram holds nothing. He owns no kingdom, no city, no fortress. And yet, everything is promised to him. Meanwhile, Lot's paradise is not what it seems. Sodom and Gomorrah, a place that looks like a party center but with a hidden truth. Lot, his wife and daughters, head towards doom, ruin. Abram's empty hands? They're full of God's promise. The land that looked best physically couldn't keep what mattered. Spiritually, it was a trap. What you grab for yourself, it breaks. What you give to God, it multiplies. Abram let go and inherited everything. The man who owned nothing built a nation that changed the world forever. Trust God's timing over your own desires. His choices always exceed our own. Let God lead. His wisdom is better than our ambition. Choose God's will over your own. His way is always best. Trust God's direction, not your own impulses. God called Abram his friend. Then he told him something that changed everything. I'm destroying those cities. Their sin is too great. Wait, my nephew Lot is down there. If there are 50 good people, would you still destroy it? No, not for 50. What about 45? 40? 30? God says no to each one. What if there were just 5? If there were 5 just people, I wouldn't destroy it. But there aren't even 5. Because of Abram's prayers, God sent 2 angels to warn Lot. The city's evil men came. They wanted to destroy the angels, hurt Lot's family. The angels blinded every single one of them. Run, don't look back, not once. Fire and sulfur rained down on the city. But Lot's wife turned around. Her curiosity cost her everything. Lot and his daughters made it. They lived. One man's prayers, one family saved. By looking back at Sodom, she demonstrated a heart still tethered to a world she was told to leave. It highlights how hesitation and nostalgia for a destructive environment can hinder your progress towards safety and a better future. True transformation requires full departure from the past. When it is time to move on, you must focus on the horizon rather than the wreckage behind you. Let's reflect. Don't let your past become your prison. Look forward and live. Her legacy is a warning. What we look back on can paralyze us. May we learn to leave behind what God has already judged. She looked back for 1 second. She paid with her life. Behind her, 2 cities burned to nothing. Lot ran with his 2 daughters. Everything else was gone. The angels said, "Run to the mountains." Lot begged for a small town instead. But fear followed him into Zoar. So they ran again, into a cave. Just 3 people left. The daughters believed the world had ended, that they were the last. So they made a plan, a terrible plan. 2 nights, 2 daughters, 1 drunken father. 9 months later, 2 sons were born from a sin. Their names were Moab and Ben-Ami, fathers of 2 nations. From 1 drunken night, empires were born, the Moabites and the Ammonites, Israel's rival. For 10 years, Sarai waited for a baby that never came. Then 3 strangers walked out of the desert. Abram welcomed them. He didn't know who they were. One of them spoke a promise that broke time. "Your wife will have a son." Sarai laughed. She was 89 years old. The stranger heard her. Why did Sarai laugh? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Their names changed forever. Abraham, Sarah. But rewind. 10 years before this moment, Sarai got tired of waiting. She had a plan, a shortcut around God. She gave her servant Hagar to her husband. Abram didn't argue. Not one word. Hagar got pregnant, and everything broke. The servant looked down on the mistress. Sarai exploded. "This is your fault." She made Hagar's life unbearable. Hagar ran, pregnant, alone, into nothing. She wanted to die there. Then heaven found her. "Go back. Your son will be called Ishmael." She obeyed. But the damage was done. 2 mothers, 1 household, a war that would last thousands of years. Abraham tried to help God. He created a wound instead. Some promises only break when we stop waiting. God's timing isn't limited by biology or logic. Waiting is often a tool used to ensure that when the breakthrough happens, only God gets the credit. While our detours have consequences, they don't necessarily disqualify us from God's ultimate plan. As we wait upon the Lord, we shall see His glory revealed. She was pregnant, alone, and dying in the desert. Then a voice spoke her name, Hagar, a runaway slave, carrying a child no one wanted. The angel said, "Your son will become a nation. Name him Ishmael, because God heard your cry." She returned, and Abraham, at 86, became a father for the first time. For 14 years, Ishmael was the only son, the favorite, the heir. Then Sarah gave birth to Isaac. Everything changed. At the banquet, Ishmael mocked the new heir. Sarah demanded, "Send them away, both of them." Abraham's heart broke, but he obeyed. Mother and son, cast into the wilderness. The water ran out. She couldn't watch him die, so she walked away and sobbed. Then God opened her eyes. A well, right there, hidden the whole time. Ishmael grew strong, a hunter, an archer of the desert of Paran. He married and fathered 12 sons, 12 princes, 12 tribes. The promise came true. The wild boy became the father of nations. He died at 137. The forgotten son God never forgot. Because God hears, even the ones the world throws away, God will never forget not a single person. He is always there even when you can't see him. She was 90 years old, and God just told her she would have a baby. Sarah laughed, not with joy, with disbelief. Years before, God promised Abraham something impossible. Children as many as the stars, from a wife who could not bear. Abraham was 99. Sarah was 90. Time had run out. Then 3 strangers arrived at his tent. This time next year, they said, Sarah will have a son. Sarah laughed inside her heart. Why did Sarah laugh? Is anything too hard for God? Months passed. Her body began to change. At 90, Sarah was pregnant, and then a son was born. Exactly when God said, Abraham was 100. He named the boy Isaac. It means laughter. God has made me laugh, she whispered. Everyone will laugh with me. On the 8th day, the covenant was sealed in blood. Years later, a great feast, Isaac was weaned. The promise complete, but Ishmael, the older son, mocked the child of the promise. Sarah saw it, and everything changed. Hagar and Ishmael were sent away. 2 sons, 2 destinies. From one impossible laugh, a nation was born. A father raises a knife. The boy below him is his only son. The night before, God spoke to Abraham, Take your son, your only son, offer him to me, Isaac, the son he waited 100 years for. Before sunrise, Abraham obeys. Isaac asks no questions. He just trusts his father. 3 days, 1 road, 1 impossible task. Every step closer, every step heavier. On the 3rd day, the mountain appears. Stay here, the boy and I will return. Isaac carries the wood, Abraham carries the fire. Father, where is the lamb for the offering? God himself will provide the lamb, my son. At the top, Abraham builds the altar. He arranges the wood, piece by piece. Then he binds his only son. Isaac does not fight. He does not run. Abraham lifts the knife. And then, Abraham, Abraham, stop! Now I know you fear God. You held nothing back. A rustle, a ram, caught in the thorns. The lamb God promised, right on time. He names the place, The Lord Will Provide. Jehovah Jireh. Centuries later, another father would not stop the knife, and his son would save the world. Jesus Christ, the sinless Son of God, voluntarily suffered and died on the cross, perfect substitute to pay the penalty for humanity's sins, reconciling sinners to God, defeating death through his resurrection. A 140-year-old man makes his servant swear a deadly oath. Find my son a wife, but never from these people. Not a Canaanite 500 miles. 1 mission, 0 room for error. So he prays for an impossible sign. Let her offer water to me and to every camel. Before he finishes praying, she appears. She gives him a drink without being asked. Then she runs to water all 10 camels. That's gallons. For hours, alone, he pulls out gold and asks one question. Whose daughter are you? Bethuel's, Abraham's family. He falls down. He worships. The sign was real. Her family hears the story. They cannot deny it. This is from the Lord. Take her, they ask her. Will you go? One word. I will. Miles away, a grieving son walks the fields. He looks up and sees her. 2 strangers. 1 promise kept. He brings her into his mother's tent and loves her. When you trust God with the unknown, he's already there waiting. Pray for every decision, and you shall. Receive the story shows that even in unfamiliar situations, taking steps of faith allows us to experience God's guidance. God builds families, restores broken relationships, and heals us from what seems irreparable. This story also acts as a parallel to the gospel, where the bride, the church, is called to follow the Lord even when the path is unknown. This story is a reminder that God is a keeper of promises. She lived 127 years. The Bible never gave another woman that honor. Sarah is gone, and Abraham has nowhere to bury her. Abraham walks to the city gate. He needs land. He needs it today. I am a foreigner among you. Sell me a place to bury my dead. Ephron offers the cave of Machpelah. Take it, free. But Abraham knows better. 400 shekels of silver. Abraham pays every coin. The cave of Machpelah, the first soil the patriarchs ever own. He carries Sarah inside. A promise buried in purchased ground. Isaac has no mother now, and no wife. Not yet. One woman, one cave. The beginning of a nation. At 140 years old, Abraham marries again. Her name is Keturah, and she will change everything. She gives him 6 sons, a new family, a new beginning. 6 sons, each one strong, each one hopeful. But only one son carries the promise. Isaac, the chosen one, the heir of everything. To the others, Abraham gives gifts and sends them east, far away, far from Isaac, far from the promise. Then, at 175, Abraham breathes his last. 2 sons return, enemies once, brothers now. Together they bury the father of nations. Their voices are silent, but their message is louder than ever. Abraham and Sarah have gone, but their legacy is a living flame we continue to tend. The pioneers have rested, but the promise they believed in is still unfolding. We are the living breath of Abraham and Sarah's ancient hope.